In this lecture, we will talk about manipulating objects, and in this case curves we already draw. So similarly to the control point curves, which we will often use, we can also find ways to connect them. So in this case, we draw two curves which end in the same position, but they are two separate curves. What we can do is by holding shift, we can select both elements, or we can draw a selection window from the right to the left, which selects all the objects that cross the selection window, and then we can join them. And joining, if we click on it, we see the two curves are joined into one open curve. In this case, it has become a single element. But we see here 2 points. They are connected. They are a single control point, but they form what is so-called a kink in the object, which means it's not a smooth transition. And to have a smooth transition, what we can do is align the control points. And if they are in a line, you see that the curve is more smoothly connected. Okay, curve is connected, but the reverse is also possible. Let's unselect the control points. We can also explode objects. Now in this case, because it's a single curve, that is not really the case, but if we create, for instance, a rectangle, and we select the rectangle, and we explode it, it gets exploded into 4 curved segments, and in this case just the 4 individual lines. The concept of joining and exploding also works with other geometry. So now we illustrated this simply with curves, but it also works for instance with 3D surfaces or 3D volumes. So let's maybe draw a few more objects. Let's remove these 2 ones. So a simple rectangle. We can also define some transformations. In the transform menu, we see the move, copy, and rotate. Very typical transformations. They are also available as menus in the toolbar. So the move command moves a point, an object, and in this case a curve, from one position to another. If you want to move it 5 meters to the right, we can also use this typing coordinates. So we say relative 5 units, 0, and now this object is moved exactly 5 meters to the right. Same you can do with rotations. We click on rotate. The first thing Rhino asks us is the center of rotation. For instance, we want to rotate around the origin, and we have to define the angle, but we can also define that the Rhino will make copies for us. And here we see there's an option, copy, and the C is underlined. People familiar with AutoCAD will recognize this. But you can also click on the option, and in this case, the copy option will ensure that the copy of the element, there will be a copy made of this particular element. Let's create a few of these copies. Enter. So all the rectangles are copies. They are not connected to the original one. And the canvas can still remove a few of them. That is a copy. And of course, this also works with a group of objects. So we can, in this case, move, but we'll also use the copy command. The copy command simply says, okay, we want to make a copy of this group of objects. Or we can rotate them and activate the copy option and rotate them, for instance, around this point. And now we see we have several copies created from the same object. You have a bit similar options as in other applications. For instance, we have a mirror copy. So we can say we want all these objects. Let's deselect this last one using the control button. So control click the object to deselect it. These are the objects we want to select. Press enter when done. We press enter. Then yes, we want to copy. We can quickly say the Y or the X axis. Or we simply define our mirror plane by clicking 2 times. So all these elements are copied and mirrored in one single operation. So this gives a brief overview of some of the operations you can apply. Remember joining, exploding, that will return in some of the later lessons. And of course the regular transformations like move, copy, and rotate, and some of the variations such as mirror.